Sometimes you know in the moment that God is working. Other times it takes for you to look back and see that God was in the middle of what was going on. Every Sunday we pray that God will be in the middle of what it is that we're doing. That we plan a service Sunday morning starting at 10:30, and we pray every week, God, I want you to be here. Spirit, move. Jesus, be present so that we can experience you. And that we can stand here and know that God is with us, that he's in the middle of this place, that he is present. Well, this past Sunday, I had been praying that all week long. I was looking forward to a service that was going to be exciting, that was going to be powerful, that was going to be filled with hopefully God moments. In fact, sat right here on this stage and did an interview with an individual that has gone through quite a few things, that God has been at work in her life, and she shared her testimony. And I had prayed that God would be in the middle of that he would be seen, that his story would be told, so that we would know that today God is working just as he has all through history. And as I sat there on Sunday, as I participated in this interview, you could tell that God was here. But I didn't know exactly how he was working until I was able to look back. And just within the last couple of days through this week, to be able to see what it was that God was doing. One of the things that he was doing was giving the peace that surpasses all understanding. Kelly, who had a chance to share her story, shared in the middle of her testimony that public speaking is something that she was so fearful of. When she was a little kid, she had to recite a poem. And she turned and faced the blackboard because she couldn't look at the class while she was doing it. She told me after the service that prior to getting up here on stage, her knees were knocking because she was so scared. That she was in the seats waiting for the invitation to come up here, and she was freaking out. And yet, as she stepped up on stage, there was a peace that she got, and she did an incredible job. And if you haven't had a chance to hear her testimony, watch the video from this past weekend of our service. And God gave her a peace, and she shared her story, and it was incredible. And then she told me in the last couple of days that she walked off the stage, that she sat back down and her knees started shaking again, and she was so nervous that for the next 5 minutes, she couldn't even control herself as she sat there. And yet God was right there in the middle of it. But God was also working in the room, as she has shared that there were a number of people that came up to her afterwards and said, that's exactly what I needed to hear this morning. I'm going through that situation, or maybe not that specific situation, but I'm in a tough time, and your words encouraged me. God was working. But not only was God working in her story, helping others, but God was working in the room as there was an individual who just so happens to be a neurosurgeon who heard her story and how she has not been able to find answers and she doesn't know what's going on. And he came up to her and said, I want to meet with you and your husband. I want to spend 2 hours talking about what's going on, and I want to help you figure out what you're going through. God was working. See, he comes after us. He pursues us. He's in pursuit of each and every one of us, and he's visible and present every day. And sometimes we know it in the moment. As we're in it, we can say, God is here and he is working. And sometimes we have to look back at what has happened to say, God, you are definitely there. See, God is here. He's working. He's moving right now, just as he has through all of time. So how is he moving in your life? I want to hear your story so I can share it with others so we can see God at work today. Have a great week.